Start a little bit early. So we're doing a town hall today about the proposed wastewater treatment plant that we are talking with ESG about. It's going to be at the Willows location, which is out off 71, past the Riverbend Park and everything like that, further to the far side of the town. I know there's been a lot of questions, a lot of concerns, and so we brought folks from ESG and Reuse here to help answer some of the questions, as well as provide some more information and to give some more information. And so I'll let y'all introduce yourselves. I believe your mic's on, but you'll need to press a button.
Everybody, my name is Randall Nelson. I'm with Reuse Engineering, and we are a design consultant. We specialize in wastewater treatment plants specifically. And I will say over the course of my career and Rob's career, which is the leader at Reuse, we've designed and constructed about 1,200 wastewater treatment plants. But we focus primarily since 2010 on membrane systems. And we feel that it's the absolute best system that's available to anyone out there, and most cost effective, certainly, but will also produce clean water. And so that's what we want to try to bring to you guys, is a solution that not only takes care of your issues that you have now for flow and growth, but also is going to be environmentally protective of your streams. And so that's why we're incorporating technology that we do. But we're excited about the project and working with the town.
Evening, everybody. My name is Jim Johnston. I'm with Energy Systems Group out of St. Louis, Missouri. I'm heading up this project. We've been here since the inception. So Energy Systems Group is acting as the developer for this project for multiple reasons. First and foremost, we have our what's called a source well contract. That is a single source progressive design build contract that allows everybody to have a seat at the table. We'll go through this as we go through the presentation in town hall tonight. We are acting as the developer. We have been working intimately with the city and all the other partners to develop a revenue generating model. Most cities and towns that put in a brand new wastewater treatment facility, it tends to be a heavy financial burden that is only paid off by raising your rates. We are proposing to do the complete opposite. We want to be able to build a resilient, very easy to be able to maintain, very easy to be able to continue the process plant that, using its excess capacity, will actually be able to generate revenue for the city by taking in some of the surrounding communities' sludge, which is always one of the biggest issues for every community out there, and allowing the city of Smithville to be able to realize that revenue to do two things: be able to pay off the debt service, which never happens for wastewater treatment facilities, and on top of that, being able to make it self-sustainable. Plants like this cost money not only to build, but also to be able to operate. When you have revenue coming in that you don't have to go out to all the taxpayers to raise their rates, it makes it a very beneficial agreement. There is also one other partner that's not here tonight. It is a group called Sustainability Partners. They were brought in at the behest of us as a potential financial solution to essentially offset the initial capital cost, rather than taking out what's called a revenue bond to fund this project. It would allow Smithville to not only take care of this issue, but also to not encumber their bond rating, to allow you all to continue to grow and invest in other capital projects that typically take normal financial mechanisms. Easiest way to put it is we are the developer. We work hand in hand with Reuse because they are our design assist partner, and Sustainability Partners is the financial and legal partner that we bring to the table as an option for the city to be able to get these things paid for. I know there was also a question that was brought up specifically about ownership for Energy Systems Group being owned by Oak Tree Capital. Oak Tree Capital is a private equity firm that bought us from Constellation Energy, one of the big utilities, with a build, grow, and maintain mindset. It's one of the few private equity firms that I've ever actually seen that isn't looking for a quick equity turn. We've had multiple conversations with the ownership of Oak Tree, and their investment is buy, hold, maintain, and grow to be able to continually develop, foster, and execute these kind of projects all the way across the country, and provide capital infusion to make sure those are done in the best way possible. And one of the most important pieces about what we're going to talk about tonight, you have two different contracting mechanisms that are out there. You have what is called design, bid, build, which is why everybody that looks in the newspaper, and it doesn't matter what week, what month it is, you always see a city that has been hit with a massive, what's called change order, because something was missed in a contract. Whether you're in the public space, private space, if something is missed, that is a potential big issue that typically cities will come back and say, things were engineered for $25 million. Now it's going to cost us 50. For example, just right down from my neighborhood, the police station that was supposed to cost $27 million was finally delivered at $59 million. The reason we prefer our model, which is called progressive design build, because of the fact that we already meet the essentially the public bid requirement, because we competed for our contract to be awarded that Sourcewell designation. It allows all parties, including the city, including the public, including most importantly, the plant operators, all to be able to sit down at a table with all of our constituent partners and have conversations about what you want, how do you want it, when do you want it, how can it be paid for by itself, and what does the contractual language look like? Because this has to be a mutually beneficial agreement between all parties. And this allows everybody to truly have a seat at the table and go through stepwise how this plan is going to be designed, built, executed, and maintained. Whereas the traditional model would be, hey, we're showing up because we heard you have bond money. We'd like to build your plant for you. We build the plant, we walk away, and we continually go back and forth and see who has better lawyers. This allows everybody to feel comfortable with the approach that we're doing and address needs that typically aren't in a standard bid document. Most importantly, generating revenue. For a little bit of definition of the scope, what we are planning to do for this phase one is to be able to expand out the Willow plant by 500,000 gallons per day. And we are also going to be upgrading 4 lift stations. That is it. And the reason we have concentrated on that is the Willow plant is going to be your revenue generator. The city needs to generate money to be able to fund other infrastructure projects that you need and continually go through with the overall development to be able to best support not only the existing citizens of Smithville, but the ones that are coming from essentially the west out this direction to allow you all to be able to grow, to increase your tax base, to get you more services, more entertainment, more economic opportunity, increase values of home prices, and to be able to grow and sustain it in a proper way where everything is not a whipsaw effect, where you bring in a bunch of new people and then how is this going to be addressed? I know that's a little bit of a long-winded way to start this conversation, but I wanted to make sure that we got those on the table so you can ask questions and poke holes in what we're going to do and make sure that everybody feels comfortable walking out of here tonight with the approach that we put forward in front of the city. So,
yeah.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah, that was a pretty solid introduction for the topics of tonight's meeting. I'll just keep mine short and sweet. My name's Dylan Williams. I also work with ESG Energy Systems Group as a design development engineer, and I'll hand it off to my colleague.
Thanks, Dylan. Clint Gorman here. I work on Jim's team at Energy Systems Group. I do some of the technical program management, overseeing some of the technical items and sales items as well. So we're happy to be here, happy to answer questions for you. Thanks.
Perfect. And I didn't let them know the itinerary. I was going to let y'all do introductions and then do your presentations.
Yeah.
Jim's already done with his, but
I took care of all of his, so he got that out of the way. One of the things that I think is probably important, because this whole thing, as Jim alluded to, is based on the model of revenue generation. That's something that's really unique to most municipalities of this size. When you talk about revenue generation, most of your larger cities, Dallas, Austin, Fort Worth, Waco, San Antonio, Houston, El Paso, and Tyler, and a bunch of others, have, revenue generation systems in there. Now they have different types of different things, but one of those that's common is going to be what we call a sludge receiving station. Now, I'm going to try to explain this in layman's terms so that it's simple to understand. Whenever you have a wastewater treatment plant, you're going to have the core process inside the wastewater treatment facility, inside the basins. It's a biological process. It's the same bacteria that starts in our gut, right? That when we flush, it's that same biology, the same bacteria, the biome is going to go out to the wastewater treatment plant. And so a good, well-run operating system will actually multiply that biome. And so that biome, that biology grows inside the plant. And the whole purpose of that is the same as it is where it starts here, is to consume the organics, right? So it's the carbon, the nitrogen, the phosphorus, everything that starts in here, you're wanting that biological process to, as vigorously as possible, continue inside that process basin. The problem with that is, as the biology, the biome, as it grows, it'll die out. So it gets thicker and thicker and thicker. Well, every wastewater treatment plant has to, on at least 2 or 3 times a week, sometimes daily, as the larger systems do, they have to actually what they call waste out sludge. So they're taking a portion of that biology out in the form of solids. Now that waste, if you're the city of Austin or the city of Waco or San Antonio, Houston, they take those dried solids, or they take those solids, which is a liquid, and they dry them through some kind of a press. And that's how they actually get rid of their solids. And then that dry solid cake goes to the landfill. But if you look around you, I would dare say there's probably somewhere around 70, maybe 80 wastewater treatment plants that are small, 50,000 gallons a day, 100,000 gallons a day, maybe in upwards of 200,000 gallons a day. But they're serving small communities, they're serving small municipalities, they're serving developments, and they have their own wastewater treatment plant, but they don't have the ability to press out those solids in a dry powder. So what they do instead is they haul that waste in a liquid form somewhere else to have it processed. And right now, the city of Austin takes it. The city of Houston takes it. San Antonio takes it. But there's very few other places in this area where they can haul that liquid sludge to. And so we have developed a system that is actually able to receive that sludge from these smaller communities and process it here. So you're acting as a receiving station for those other wastewater treatment plants that can't process their own sludge, and you're doing it for a fee. Now, one of the more successful ones that I've been a part of up in the Odessa, Midland, Odessa area, they generate about $4.5 million a year, and they're only taking in about 100,000 gallons a day. And that's a significant revenue generation for them. That pays not only for the entire cost of operating the plant, it pays for all their operators, and it actually services all their debt. So just from that one process of receiving that sludge, they're able to self-pay for everything, but it actually is turned into a revenue generating center for the city, right? And so that's what we're trying to do here. We're trying to put you in a position where you don't have to pay, like Jim alluded to. We don't want to raise your rates. That's not the point here. We're trying to develop a system that not only serves your needs in the future, but also serves your financial needs and actually helps the city, pay for some things. And so that's what we're trying to do here. You're not a city of Austin, but you don't have to be, because city of Austin may take in 400,000 or 500,000 gallons of liquid sludge a day. You don't need to do that. So you're looking at it on a smaller scale, but still the revenue is going to be very productive for you. It's going to be something that's going to, again, pay for the system, pay for the operators, and pay to service the debt. And we're really excited about bringing that opportunity to you. And that's a brief explanation. As if you have questions, obviously, I'm happy to answer more as we get further into it.
Do you have video, or are you ready for that now, or would you like to do it later?
Can you get the plate over there? All of you can. Just so you know, so
If you can grab your mic.
This is, I just want you to see, this is the effluent water that is coming out of our, this is the effluent coming from our wastewater treatment plant. The state has multiple levels of effluent quality. The cleanest effluent that they regulate is what they call a type 1 effluent, reclaimed water. This is actually significantly cleaner than that. We're using membrane technology. Some of you, well, most of you are probably familiar with it. You just don't realize you're familiar with it. If you have drank bottled water anytime in the last, 5 years, you've probably drank water that was processed through a membrane. I know you said that you have an RO system at your house, and that's a membrane, right? So our membrane is the same technology that a lot of others use. It's a different type of membrane. Just like I wouldn't want to take a Ford F-350 with 6-inch lift kit and go to a Formula One race with it, right? So it's a different type of membrane. It's designed for wastewater, but this is the water that we're going to pull out of there. It's actually this one is just outside of San Antonio, and the effluent tested to meet U.S. safe drinking water standards. That's how clean the water is. So that's what we're producing. And that's might be a little bit better than you guys are capable of doing with the conventional plant, but it's going to be something that's going to be beneficial long term, not only for the city but for the environment as well.
Randall, will you explain a little bit about the A3 relationship with the membranes and reuse?
Yes, thank you. I knew I was forgetting something. I don't have Gabby here, so Clint's going to fill in nicely. The relationship that I think was some question, Reuse is an engineering firm. We design wastewater treatment plants. The membrane technology that is being going to be employed here is what we call A3, rigid plate membranes. It's called a max flow membrane. Everything else about the system is completely non-proprietary. Now, membranes across all wastewater categories are all proprietary in the sense that I can't buy A3 membranes from anybody but A3, the manufacturer of the membranes. But A3 has been around for 30 some odd years. It's a multi-million-dollar company. They are expanding even as we speak, and the city has the right to buy directly from them. So all the service, all the warranty, everything comes from A3. Reuse is only a design partner. We design and we make sure that it is installed correctly. And everything else has been vetted by Edward and his team. All the pumps, the blowers, everything else is non-proprietary. And I think it's going to be a system not only provides you what you need, but is not going to be anything to be concerned about. All the parties that are involved in this have been around a very long time, very well established, and are really good partners to work with.
Can you expand on how long the membrane will last and tell us, what goes on with it? Just give us an operational view. I do want to know the life of it.
Sure. The short answer is I don't know, but I'll explain that. That sounds bad, but it's not bad. It's actually good. We tell everybody that the membranes should last about 10 years. What we're seeing in the real world applications in the United States is most of our membranes have at least 14 to 15 years on them. The first plant that went into the United States was 20 years ago in 2006. And that was in the state of Pennsylvania. And they just replaced the membranes in 2024. And it wasn't because they were failing. It was because the state of Pennsylvania said, you had a 10-year warranty. It's been 18 years, replace the membranes. So they did. Now, the membranes themselves, we're really anticipating that you should anticipate at least 15 years of service out of them. But because we're conservative, when we work with any of our clients, we tell them to plan on replacing them every 10 years. So if you budget for and plan on replacing them every 10 years, they've got a 10-year warranty. So that's right there at the end of the 10-year warranty. So, but if you plan on replacing them every 10 years and they last 15, then it's a benefit. If they last 18, like they did for the municipality in Pennsylvania, even better. But what we're seeing right now is the life expectancy somewhere, it should be somewhere between 50 and 20 years on the membranes based on actually real world applications and all the systems that are installed in the United States currently.
Can you explain how you test to protect them and also test the efficacy of the membranes to make sure they're not failing prematurely?
So the membranes themselves, if there's the pore size, just so you know, and I'll explain this as best I can. A membrane is a filter. It is a barrier, right? And there's membranes of different types. Most membranes that are out there today have what they would call a nominal pore size, meaning they have pores that things can come through. That's the whole point of a membrane, is allow certain things through and keep other things back. But that pore size is nominal, meaning there's variation across the whole, surface of the membrane of the pore sizes themselves. And most of your nominal pore sizes are around 0.15 to 0.2 microns. Now, what does that look like? Well, Jim, your hair, the thickness of your hair is about 100 microns on average, 100. Most membranes have a nominal pore size of 0.15 to 0.2 microns. Our membrane does not have a nominal pore size. It has a definitive pore size, meaning every single pore in there is going to be the same size. And that pore size is a 0.038 micron, 38 1,000ths of a micron. Your hair is 100 microns, it's 38 1,000ths of a micron. Well, 38 1,000ths of a micron is too small for bacteria to make it through. It's too small for viruses to make it through. So when we put a vacuum on our membrane, we're pulling water and anything that can be dissolved in water. So dissolved nitrogen can make it through, right? Dissolved phosphorus can make it through. But solids won't make it through, viruses won't make it through, bacteria won't make it through. So how do we know when it's time to replace one? Well, all of membrane operation is based on pressure. How much pressure does it take for me to pull a vacuum on those membranes and pull water through? In this case, we typically operate around 1 PSI, a negative 1 PSI. So over a period of time, as bacteria grows on the surface of the membranes, which is what we wanted to do. That's the operational procedure. As they start blinding over the membrane, you'll see that pressure go up to a negative 0.2 or a negative 0.3, and then up to a negative 1. Well, once we get to about a negative 2 PSI on that membrane, it's time for a cleaning. And the cleaning is just simply adding chlorine to the inside of the membranes, and that basically encourages all the biome, the biology that's attached to the membrane to move away from the membrane. It goes back to your normal stasis of operation at the beginning. And that cycle is going to happen about every 6 months. So there'll be cleaning every 6 months or so. Once we get to a point where we do a cleaning and that starting point does not go back to, a negative 0.1 or a negative 0.2, but it starts off at a negative 1.5, then we know it's time to schedule the membranes to be replaced because they're nearing the end of their life. Well, how do we know if something has happened? All right. How do we know if there's a break in the system, right? Well, it won't look like that. So what's going to happen is if there's a break in the system, we're actively pulling wastewater or water through that system. So if there's a break, then the effluent that's coming out will have just a little bit of a cloud to it. It'll be a little bit of a tinted yellow color. So as the operators are reviewing that every day, they'll see, okay, something's going on here. And we have a system for testing. And so we have a system, a procedure that they know how to isolate which membrane, if any of them, have a tear in it. And then again, that's a 10-year warranty. So the manufacturer of the membrane sends his people out, they replace those membranes for free. But it's a pretty simple operation and it's very efficient. It's very quick to know if something's going on with it, and you can have it repaired. You can have it shut off in about 2 hours, and you can have the replacements done in about a week and a half.
Anybody have any questions? I'm right up. Sir, please come up to the microphone.
Oh, okay. Testing, testing. Well, I can stand up over there and I'm pretty loud, so I may not need this. How old is this A3 outfit?
So A3 started in Germany back in 1991.
Okay,
And the A3 USA was established in 2003 for the US market. And A3 USA has been in continuous production since 2003.
and so what do they make their membranes in Germany or the US?
It's now made in North Carolina.
In North Carolina?
Yes, sir.
Okay, all right. Let's see, I think that was about all I had on that. Oh, the warranty.
Yes, sir.
How does the warranty work?
So it's a 5-year unlimited warranty and a 5-year prorated warranty.
Okay,
And anything that happens, the manufacturer comes out and replaces the membrane. It's
Right.
that simple.
in the first 5 years. In the
Well,
second
they'll
5
they'll
years,
still come out and
there's
replace it.
the cost to the.
It's a prorated cost. Yes, sir.
Right.
Yes, sir.
All right, okay, all right.
And we'd be, if you want to tour the facility in North Carolina, we're happy to welcome you to come tour the facility in North Carolina.
Okay, well, you be careful. I need to fish North Carolina.
Well,
so
that's,
I need to be there.
it's only about 30 miles from the Outer Banks. So,
Well, I'm looking for the fly fishing on the rivers. Okay, that was all my questions.
yes, sir.
Want to explain a little bit about.
Okay. Do you want to explain a little bit about the design, where you intend to take the water system and where it's going to go through our town? You don't have to be detailed, just give us a generic idea of where you think this is going to go and how it's going to go. So, do you understand the question?
You
Okay.
talking about the reclaimed water that will be coming out, the recycled or?
Talking about the actual collection lines and how it's going to run through the city.
Yeah.
So that right now, maybe we'll slide up here. In terms of focus for what we're doing for the city, there's 2 phases that are going to run concurrently, essentially. First and foremost, we need to be able to get the plant up and running and the lift stations modernized, because that's your revenue generator and that is the bones and motive process for the entire system. Once we hit what's called our 60% design criteria, and I can reiterate this in a little bit, we are going to be able to order all the long lead time equipment, which is all the reuse technology, some of the ancillary equipment, and also the new lift stations. As soon as that design milestone is hit, we are going to then roll into design for how all your collection lines, the branch piping, everything else is going to be designed. Smithville is going through a lot of changes, just like a lot of the other cities, in terms of where the economic growth is going. The varied customers that are coming in looking for new land, new development opportunities, new housing, and money is going to get cheaper. At least I'm no fortune teller, but it seems like interest rates will start dropping, which means you're going to see a lot more investment, which means you need to be able to service that kind of demand from those developers and those kind of homeowners and tenants that are going to be coming in. By the time we have ordered all that equipment, we're going to have a good idea of where all the growth is going for Smithville to address it from a piping standpoint and have that be dovetailed directly into the overall project. First and foremost, what we need is to start generating money for Smithville, which is why we're focusing on those 2 discrete scopes, to be able to get you all earning money to be able to fund the next project, which is the piping and then some of the other initiatives the city would like to go after. I know that's a little bit of an oblique way to answer the question, but we're working through it.
But I want to make sure, just a reminder, we can't go into specific routing in open session. because of
Right.
terrorism laws and stuff like that.
Yep.
Okay,
Yep.
good.
It's a work in progress.
Never mind.
If you'll come up to the mic, ma'am. No, she's behind you.
What size of population would this plant be able to service?
So right now, we're going to look at it in two different ways. We do what's called living unit equivalents, or LUEs. Putting in this new plant, the way we're going to do it without even some of the other upgrades is going to get you about 1,800 to 2,100 LUEs, which means,
1,800?
yes, ma'am.
Okay, and then what happens if the population grows much faster? Then what do we do?
So that is where we're going to be honestly working as a nominal city planner to start projecting the growth. You're going to be, see if I can answer your question the right way. This is going to allow the population to increase almost by 50% because each one of those LUEs is a single family home with some flex on top of it as well. Once that population hits that level, you're going to have an increased tax base, an increased amount of utility payers coming in. The best part about why we selected the reuse technology is it's modular, which means we already have the existing system in place. All we have to add is one last modular plant, which is about a quarter of the size of a normal wastewater treatment facility, which would then give you another 2,000 living unit equivalents. And we can stage it up as you need rather than have it be a massive, massive grab for money. I guess the best way to put it.
Okay.
Does that
And
make
then
sense?
the other question is about the finances, so that would go back to the city council meeting, right? Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Keep-
Thank you.
And I think it's also worth pointing out when this was originally presented, they actually presented doing Gasly and also Willows at the exact same time, and it was going to be significantly more money, but I believe 60% more roughly. So we've put Gasly on hold. We kind of put a Band-Aid on it. We approved that in session about a month ago. That's about, admittedly, is about $250,000 that we've spent rehabilitating the existing Willows and also Gasly to extend the life of both of them. But that will maintain capacity there. And then if we do have a sudden increase in population, we can slow down the amount of sludge that we're accepting. And then we can be able to work on replacing Gasly over here as well too.
Can you give us a flavor for, I drove by, looked at the plant. What's it gonna look like?
Could you get a little closer to
Oh,
the mic
sure.
so people in TV land can hear you? Is it green button? Is it green?
It's green.
Okay.
So yeah, what's physically is it gonna look like over there?
So most of our plants are going to be mostly in the ground. It's going to be a concrete tank, but it's going to be basically only sticking about 4 feet out of the ground. Just to give you an idea, the size of this room, we have plants that will handle about 250,000 gallons a day, and it's about the same size as this room, right? What we're proposing out at Willow is 500,000, but it's not necessarily still twice this size. It's going to be about another 25% larger than this, but submerged in the ground, concrete tanks, and it will actually have a red iron cover over the top of it.
And is there storage for the sludge or?
It depends on what type of storage that you're talking about. So there's always going to be spare parts, things like that, that's going to have to be stored. And that's going to be part of, the office that's there. We'll add some things for them so they can have
Right, but the
repair parts.
actual sludge that's being.
No,
produced-
not really. The sludge itself, we're going to utilize a centrifuge. And so basically I remember you're a wastewater guy, so no?
I'm a policy guy. though.
Oh, you're a policy guy. So
Yeah.
So as the sludge inside the basin gets thicker, we call it a mixed liquor suspended solids. So as that gets thicker, once it reaches a certain threshold, let's say 14,000, which in this case is 1.4% solids. Once it reaches that threshold, and I'm just throwing that out there, it could be 1.3 to 1.6. We don't really know. That's part of the, process of getting those guys trained on it. But once it reaches that threshold, we'll automatically pull liquid sludge out, run it through the centrifuge. The dry solids, which will be a dry powder, will go into a roll-off container. That's hauled to the landfill. all the liquid that was squeezed out of that just goes back to the treatment basin. So right now, what they're doing is they're employing basically sludge drying beds where they take the liquid sludge, it's spread out and it's allowing for natural evaporation and the sun to dry it out. And then they have to scoop it up and haul it off. This is a mechanical process versus a natural process. But it takes about 3 hours every 2 to 3 days to run that process.
And so I think the proposal was to use it as, I mean, I'm assuming Class A fertilizer or Class B.
That's an option. That's an option, right? When it comes out as a powder, it is technically a Class B fertilizer. What makes it a Class A fertilizer is where you stabilize it with something like a liquid lime, right? So if you mix liquid lime with it, you're stabilizing it because it still has some carbon in it, still has some nitrogen in it, right? So what you're looking at is a Class A, but that's a lime stabilization. The only issue with that as a revenue generator is finding the right partner who's willing to purchase that from you.
Right.
And sometimes that's easy to find depending on where you are. Sometimes it's not so easy to find.
Yeah. So, I mean, but that was, the report I read was basing some of what y'all said was revenue generation, taking it to the landfill, not revenue generation. It's expensive.
Can you grab one of your mics?
Oh.
There's two over there if y'all need them.
We're just trading back and forth here. You're looking at three distinct revenue sources from this plant. First and foremost is the sludge receiving. So that is certain gallons in, per gallon cost, everything goes. Finding a off-taker for the fertilizer, and whether that's set up as just standard Class A biosolid that can be direct sown, potentially doing a biochar type setup. That is a revenue source. These are all the things that we're working through as the development goes through. And the last piece, and this is Texas, is water. That is a significant, not only economic savings, but the ability to be able to water parks, water common spaces, utilize all the way across, can be sold on a per gallon basis as well. So you're looking at three different revenue sources that we're taking into account. The nice part is that can be defined and maximized.
The other thing with the water in particular is we actually sell a ton of potable water that ends up being used in non-potable uses. And so we could actually start selling non-potable water and separating that from our potable water as well too.
And I'm assuming the city could utilize it themselves.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the water sales has significant more opportunity than the Class A or Class B fertilizer from the standpoint of right now the city is purchasing water at $3 a thousand, $2 a thousand, $3 a thousand,
I don't know.
somewhere around that range. But then you're selling it for $5 a thousand. So the delta there could be, let's say the delta is $2.50 per thousand. But part of that obviously is because you're having to pay for water. Whereas in this case, you have all this water now for free. So now you can sell it and your delta is $5 per thousand. So you've doubled your revenue of water sales just by changing the source of your water.
Did y'all anticipate the customers bringing the sludge material? I mean, is there a concern there with who you contract with?
There's always, you have to vet the haulers, right? So we wouldn't accept anything from someone who's not already permitted by TCEQ. So what we've been doing, and I say we, I really mean ESG, they're the ones who's been really doing the yeoman's work on this. So I can let them speak to that in a second. But the TCEQ haulers, we've been contacting them. Now, most of them, I would say 99% of them are hauling the waste all the way to Austin, and they're paying a certain amount. So just to kind of give you an idea of why it is incentivized for them to come here versus going to Austin. If I'm driving one of the large trucks, which is the big long cylindrical trucks, you see them out there, right? That their cost is about $250 an hour for windshield time. The wait time at the city of Austin right now is anywhere from 2 to 4 hours wait time once they get there. So if they're coming from Giddings, for example, and they're having to haul it all the way to Austin, wait 3 to 5 hours, then turn around and come back, that's a lot of windshield time. So if they can haul it here, it's not that they're going to pay, they're actually going to pay you more than they would pay the city of Austin to receive it. But for them, the savings is all that windshield time. And you get to the smaller trucks, even those smaller trucks are running 150 or so an hour for windshield time. So for them, they're eliminating tens of thousands of dollars every month of drive time, windshield time, operator time, insurance risk by hauling it to somewhere closer, even if they're paying a slightly larger fee to dump it.
Can you explain the security around that and how we're making sure that some random person can't
Yes.
really use the facility?
So the way the systems are set up is simply this. There's a list of TCEQ haulers that they've been in contact with. They have signed what we call letters of intent, saying that we will bring it to you. But we're going to vet those, and those are given a unique company ID number, say a 4-digit code, and then each driver will have their own 4-digit ID code. So when they come to dump off a load, they have to enter in the company code. It has to pass that company code before they can enter the driver code. Then they enter the driver code. And then once the system starts and we start, basically taking the waste from their truck, it goes through a spectrometer. And that spectrometer is analyzing real time what that sludge is. Now, we've already vetted what they're going to bring to us.
That was really my question. If you've got another municipality, what's their pre-treatment strategy or
Mhm.
whatever? Do they have industry going there?
Mhm.
And I'm not trying to set you up, but
Oh, sure.
I'm going to ask you about PFAS at some
Mhm.
point.
Yeah, yeah. No, all of those are legitimate questions and concerns. We vet everything. So these haulers, we're going to make sure that before they drop their first load, we've already vetted, where it's coming from, what type of waste it is. We're going to be doing all that. We've already done, ESG's already done a lot of that research. But they won't be allowed to dump. There won't be anybody that can just come up there and drop it in the middle of the night. It's not set up that way. It will not allow them to even offload until they've entered in their proper information. And it actually says, okay, you're in the system, you're approved, it's good to go. So, and those can be locked out at any time. If somebody brings us something that is outside of the parameters that they said, they can easily be locked out of the system for future hauls.
And you know the story in Fort Worth. So, I mean, is that the same kind of treatment y'all are doing? I just want the people to understand that this material, I mean, it's digested sludge, but I mean, it's got material, I mean, it's got organics, could have metals in it. And then you got this forever chemical issue that don't know where that's going. I mean, from a political policy standpoint, right now, looks like it's kind of on the down low. Administration changes, you're back to, but anyways, from what I read with Fort Worth was they made it into Class A sludge, took it out to the ranch, poured it on the ranch, and everybody's cows died, allegedly.
Yeah, you have to, well, the difference between this and Fort Worth has a whole lot of industrial waste that is massive on the north side.
It was like, who are you taking the material from?
Right. And that's not going to be allowed. We're not looking at taking any type of industrial waste. What we're talking about is domestic waste just from other wastewater treatment plants from their sludge. Now, will there be PFAS in it? There's PFAS in every bit of water that we have right now. It's in the billions or I say trillions, like 3 parts per trillion, something like that right now. Hopefully it won't grow because we've outlawed it, but it's in there. Can something be done about it? Eventually there's going to be something technology that makes sense financially to do something about it. But the PFAS is not growing. We're not adding more PFAS.
Right.
We're just having to deal with what's there. It's in the source water. It's in every wastewater treatment plant. It's probably in every water treatment plant out there, unless they're using an RO system on the front end to get it out.
And then lastly, from TCQ perspective, is this going to be a major amendment to the permit, do you think?
Your permit itself is not going to change. So you're going to still say the same 10, 15 on your permit. We're not changing any of that.
Changing volume or not?
Well, right now, we won't right now. We will eventually. So right now, your volumes that you have permitted for are sufficient for your flow. We will file a major amendment, but we don't want to do that prematurely. But we want to make sure that as the growth is happening, that's when you start looking at that. And it gives you about 9 months to a year to get that permit
And
approved.
it's something I didn't look into, but just the commercial receipt of sludge from other cities, I didn't know if that would trigger a major amendment or not.
It doesn't.
Good.
No, it's a one-page application. We just simply have to identify it and let them know, and we have to give them the haulers that are bringing it to us, and that's all they need.
Okay.
I think
Thank you.
I'm gonna explain what I know about the truck receiving, because I think that there's things that took me a few questions before I finally understood what was happening. But essentially, the truck comes up. It's not a free dumping into the facility. They're connecting pipes to the truck, and there's actually a vacuum that sucks the liquid out. Through that process, only a few gallons initially come out.
Mhm.
That is then tested to understand what is actually in the truck, to figure out what chemicals are in there, to figure out if there's anything that's going to be detrimental to the system. And then at that point, if it's accepted, then the pumps will take out the rest of the liquid from the truck. And so, for instance, let's say there was a hauler that brought in waste from another city that, maybe they had some sort of contamination that came from a facility there. The system would actually be able to detect that before it's allowed into the system. And so am I correct in understanding all that?
You are. In fact, the one in the Odessa area, Midland, Odessa, the biggest concern for them was we don't want to get these haulers who are hauling frack water, to bring, because again, all we're doing is domestic waste. So the concern was we don't want anything that's frack water or anything that's oily water or any of those type of things making it in. So we set that system up with a spectrometer to identify specific chemicals and specific parameters, so that if we identified any of that in the first 50 gallons, it would shut the system down and not let them dump. And it should be the same thing here. What we have to work through, I think primarily, is making sure that we do vet those haulers up front, which again, ESG has already done a good portion of that work. Having those real conversations with them to let them know this is what's allowable, this is what we'll take. And then just monitoring it as they dump it, making sure that they're falling within those same parameters.
Are you going to be taking sludge from like porta potty people that have those? Does that come into this, or is it just from the wastewater plants?
It can, because it's still domestic waste.
Mhm.
But I think it also depends on where those are going to be located.
Mhm.
And that's kind of one of those vetting issues. There might be certain ones that we say, okay, if it's at a, construction job site where they're doing a development, and that's fine. If they're out at an industrial site, then we wouldn't take it.
Okay.
So we just need to, we kind of vet. That's one of those areas that we're going to really focus hard on of making sure that we're not going to take anything from those we don't know exactly where it's coming from.
Thank you.
Most of it's going to be liquid hauled sludge, which is a waste product from other treatment plants.
Am I correct in understanding that I believe that there's actually going to be different tiers of rates based off of what the
Yes.
composition of the sludge was?
Domestic waste is one rate, porta-john waste is even higher, and then fats, oils, and greases are even higher.
Okay, so if I heard right, the project would be building this revenue generating asset before building the upgrade to the wastewater treatment plant for Smithville. Is that right? No?
No.
Okay,
We're
explain that again.
talking about the same thing.
Okay,
The plant itself, because of the revenue generation from the sludge receiving,
right.
that is the revenue generation.
Yes, but that's
so-
going to be built first before we upgrade the Smithville system? No?
No,
So-
same time.
At the same time?
Yes, sir.
Okay, okay, all right. And what percentage of the cost of this whole project goes into the revenue generating asset versus the actual wastewater system for the city of Houston?
Let me see if I can see if I understand the question. What we're trying to do is have this be a revenue neutral project where the project pays for itself.
Yeah, but
in
what percentage of the cost of the whole project will go towards the sludge processing facility and assets versus the actual wastewater facility for the city of Smithville? I mean, you're going to bring sludge
Yep.
in from
Yep.
other cities.
Right.
That's going to be processed.
Oh, yeah, yeah, there you go.
So 3%
Yes, sir.
of the entire project cost
Yes.
is going to be dedicated to the processing facility for sludge. Okay. And,
So I think for clarity, Doug, there's a wastewater treatment facility that's being built.
right.
And we're engaging in this conversation because we're running out of capacity in our existing system. And we don't really have the funds or the means of being able to build something that can bring us nearly 2,000 LUEs. So what they have done is they've basically tacked on a component
Right.
that allows for the reception. So it's still the same facility that's handling the sludge.
Right.
There's just a pump and a little bit of technology that's allowing for it to
Well,
be.
there's got to be some processing facility that's going to process a significant more wastewater than we would in ourselves. No?
No,
No?
it's the same facility.
Same facility.
But it's going to be bigger than if we were just no?
No.
I think that it's either we do it this way or we just don't do it.
Well, I'm just trying to get a feel for the scale and the.
Oh, yeah,
cost here,
no.
Right.
So-
And then I have another question about the operating costs for the processing
Sure.
business. You know, what is that going to look like?
Sure. So what's being proposed for the Willow facility is 500,000 gallons a day. That's what'll be built. So
Right.
currently what's going there is less than 200,000 gallons a day.
Right.
So there's a 300,000 gallon capacity that the new plant will have. And we're only talking about bringing in somewhere around 60 to 70,000 gallons of this sludge daily, right? So we're well within that 500,000 still.
Right.
Now, as the city grows, that 500,000 will expand. So once you get to about 350 or 400,000 gallons per day at that plant, we'll need to go ahead and actually be designing the next one,
Next
right? So
plant.
we're always going to be ahead of the curve.
Right.
What we have to do is just make sure that we have somewhere between 40 and 70,000 gallons of capacity
Right.
at that plant to handle that revenue stream. So that's all we're doing is it's going to be a part of the total stream that's hitting that plant. We just are planning so that we make sure that we're accounting for that. If we see Bastrop County growing, if we see more treatment plants, smaller treatment plants coming in, and if we see the ability to receive more, that's just part of that planning. So at some point, maybe it does get up to 100,000 gallons a day, but it's still going to be at the same plant, and it's all going to be designed into the capacity of that plant.
Of that particular plant.
Yes, sir.
Okay. And these contracts that we're going to get with these other cities, how long are these contracts going to be for?
Well, the cities don't actually, they're not going to be the ones doing it. So whoever you sign the contract with are the haulers. The haulers are the ones responsible for taking the waste sludge from a
From there
plant
to the landfill.
to wherever, right? To another processing facility,
Right.
some other place where they have to dispose of it. So the haulers are the ones responsible. And that's why we're vetting the haulers.
So the
Not
haulers
the-
charge the city to take their sludge out of there. and
That
then
is
the
correct.
haulers go dispose of it, or in this case, bring it over here for us.
That
right?
is correct. Yes,
Which we
sir.
will process. Okay.
Yes, sir.
And so how many hauler companies are there in this area that we will be contracting with?
I'm going to leave that to Clint.
Yeah, so to date, we've signed LOIs with 10 haulers.
Okay.
So roughly almost 50,000 gallons a day.
Okay.
Yeah.
And those are LOIs, and what sort of term do those LOIs have?
Well,
Well, I mean, in terms of the real contract rather than the letter of intent.
correct.
The real contract, how long would the term of the contract be with these haulers?
That would be up to the city to decide. So,
Up to the city to decide.
correct.
What
'cause
about the
the-
haulers? They might want to not sign for 10 years or whatever we decide.
Sure.
How
Well,
how do we get to that
Correct.
point of understanding how long are we going to have these haulers bringing stuff to our city?
I think that's still fluid right now. It's up to the city to set the rate as well. So that's terms of discussion.
So
to be
basically the
done.
10 haulers, is that what you said, 10
10,
haulers?
yes.
They said, okay, we're interested, but we don't have any terms left yet.
It's the non-binding LOI, yes.
Right, when there's no terms, it's not, here's our price.
Correct.
And here's our terms, and here's how long we want this contract for, and whatever,
Not yet.
right?
That's correct.
So I'll speak from experience.
Yeah.
Not necessarily this specific situation. So when we do sign the LOIs, we actually are going to be establishing a rate. right? So they need to know up front what they're agreeing to. So if City of Austin is charging them 5 cents a gallon, we may say, we're going to charge you 8 cents a gallon.
Right.
But what they're saving again is that windshield time.
That windshield
right?
time, yeah.
All right. So, but we are going to lock them into rates. Now, they don't have to haul to us 100% of the time. The key to any of this is there's no one else within a 100-mile radius right now. And our goal is to provide such a great service that they don't want to go anywhere else. They would have to go past Smithville to get to anyone else to haul to, and it would cost them more money. So as long as we're providing a good service for those haulers are very loyal. They are about making the money, right? So if they're charging, and I'll give you a really good example. One of these haulers I know, they're charging their client 25 cents a gallon to haul their waste sludge. Well, they're City of Austin, they're paying 5 cents a gallon, but they also have a dump fee and they have that windshield time. So when it's all said and done, they're making about 2 to 3 cents a gallon. If they were to haul it here, their profit margin now goes to about 11 cents per gallon. They're not charging any less, but their profit margin goes up. That's the incentive for them. They're looking at, I'm still able to charge this over here.
Right.
I'm making
They make
4 or
more
5
money.
times
Right,
more.
right, right.
There's my incentive to continue hauling here. So as long as you take care of them, keep them happy, my experience is haulers will say, I'm going to haul it here because you give me a great rate. It takes me less time, et cetera, et cetera. Now,
Until
look, the city of
someone
Giddings,
builds
that's
another
true.
facility just like this closer to the haulers.
That is
So
true.
if
That could
Elgin
happen.
decides to put in a facility like this, or Giddings, or Kyle or whoever, they can put a facility in and attract the haulers themselves. That's why I'm asking about the term of the contracts, because if someone else decides, or 2 or 3 cities decide to do this, and our haulers are all gone 5 years from now, well, we're not making any money anymore.
That is true. I will say there's a couple of caveats that I would add to that, though. So if you look at any of those other municipalities, they're all using conventional plants, just like the city of Smithville is currently
Yes,
using.
Which means they need to upgrade.
Well, they would have to significantly upgrade in order to do that very thing.
Right.
Most of your municipalities aren't looking at this. I would dare say that it's not even on the radar of 99.99% of your
Why would they
municipalities.
not look at it if it's such a good deal?
Well, it's because the concept is only rare. The city of Austin, does it because they have such a large treatment plant. City of Waco does it.
All the
City of
big cities
Dallas.
are doing it.
All the big cities do it.
What other small cities like our size are doing it?
There's probably about 25 or 30 around the state of Texas of this size that is doing it.
Can we get some references from them as to how this will operate?
Absolutely. There's the city of Greenville is one. The one up in Midland, Odessa is another.
Midland,
There's several
Odessa's a
other.
much bigger community.
No, but this isn't the cities of Midland, Odessa. It's in that area, but it's only a site for basically the oil field areas.
Okay.
So there's quite a few around. What I will tell you is they all have their own perspective of what the system that they're receiving looks like and how much they'll take. For example, the city of Greenville will only take 75,000 gallons a day. When that's hit, there's no more. So there are truckers, there are haulers that are coming from Sherman, Texas, all the way to Greenville because they have nowhere to take it but Greenville or Dallas. They get to Greenville at 2:30 and the Greenville says, you're done. I mean, we can't take it. So they've wasted all the time. Now they got to turn and go to Dallas. The whole point of this is to put it in an area that has no competition, which currently you
So
don't.
far, right?
You don't. Who's the next person who could potentially have it? What other city could have it? Bastrop.
Cities that are growing population have got bigger tax revenue, and so they have money to be able to invest.
They all could, right? But you have a leg up. You're the first in the area. Bastrop does not want to do it. Bastrop looked at it. They love the revenue generation, but they said it's going to put, they've already got such a growth that they're looking at 10 million gallons a day of growth over the next 6 to 8 years. And they said, that's an area we just don't want to focus on. We want to focus on the other things. So right now, and I would say even for the foreseeable 5 to 6 years, there is no competition. Now it could change.
Right.
None of us have a crystal ball.
Right. And how would that 5 and 6 year revenue stream, if it does change, how would that 5 and 6 year revenue stream that might go away, how would that affect our ability to pay for the asset that we're going to build?
I would say it wouldn't go away. I would argue that you may have to go
Be
from,
reduced.
right, you may have to go from 8 cents to 6 cents
Right,
per gallon, right, to be competitive.
Right.
And there's always going to be that kind of a nature to it.
Right.
But I don't see this ever going away because there's just not enough people out there who want to get into this in order to do it. It has to be something that you're dedicated to. And fortunately, the city council here is dedicated to doing this because they see the revenue generation and they've made that commitment to do
And
it.
how much, are we going to need more employees to operate something like this?
You will not.
No.
No, sir.
Come on, man, this sounds stupid. True.
Well,
I will say that
Huh?
we've been told that there's going to need to be one more employee by our works.
now, if you continue to operate Gasly, yes, but if the ultimate plan is to move everything from Gasly to Willow and have one plant, that
Then you'll
changes
need
that
more.
dynamic.
So we will be our employees that will be operating. There's no third party operator that's going to do this for us. We're doing it ourselves.
It is, and it goes to the question that you haven't asked yet. You alluded to
Go
that you're going
for
to
it.
ask, and that's the operating expenses, right? So the operational expenses for a membrane plant are on par with a conventional plant. Now, it's a completely different look as to where those expenses are allocated.
Right.
So with a conventional plant, the majority of my expenses are going to either a sludge, how I handle that, or chemicals, or other aspects to the system itself. With a membrane, you don't have nearly as much sludge hauling, obviously, or sludge production. You're also not going to have probably less than 1/10 of the chemical usage from a membrane plant, but you have those membranes, right? So that's a replacement cost that factors into the whole cost of the plant.
Right.
But over a 10-year span,
Right.
you're about the same operating expense for a membrane that you are for a conventional plant. It's just that they're in different areas.
Right. Well, in
Um,
20 years, we're buying a membrane. 10 years later, we're buying a membrane. Does that mean we're operating at a higher expense than a conventional
No,
plant?
if I do a 10-year,
We have to pay for a new membrane?
no, if I do a full 10-year plan and I'm replacing every single part that needs to be replaced in 10 years, right?
Mhm.
And like I said, when I started, we tell everybody plan on 10 years. So your budget is for a 10-year plan.
Mm-hmm.
So if I compare the two, the costs are going to be relatively the same. The difference is the membrane uses significantly less energy than a conventional plant does, significantly less chemicals than a conventional plant does. It's going to be a lot more automated, so it's a lot less operator time. So there's variations. There's going to be differences in operation between the two, but they're about the same. Now, the difference here is the revenue that can be generated from that sludge. Even if we talk about a reduced rate,
Mm-hmm.
that still pays for all of the operation of the plant.
Mm-hmm.
It pays for all the operator salaries, and it helps pay for debt.
Down.
Debt. Yes, sir. So you're actually going to be in a net plus with
Mhm.
this.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas
Going to guarantee that for us?
well, I'll guarantee it. I mean,
You want to
but-
guarantee it?
well, if we get the LOIs, I can tell you that the revenue that you generate from those LOIs will be more than enough to pay for the
Depends
system.
upon the term of the L.
It depends on, right, it
LOI.
depends on how many haulers that you end up getting, right? So the one up in the Midland Odessa area,
Mhm.
like I said, they're taking in about 100,000 gallons a day, a little bit more, maybe 105,
Mhm.
and they're generating about $4 million a year,
Gross revenue.
the gross revenue.
That's
Now,
not net, that's gross.
well, no, that's right. That's right. But here's my point. Their net is over 2.7, 2.8 million is what they net.
So they're got a 50% cost to operate that plant?
Well, that's,
4.5 to 2.7?
well, they have a very large margin because they're charging 11 cents per gallon.
Wait. Now you said 4.5 in revenue
Mhm.
and then their costs are,
No,
their
no, no.
net is
They're-
2.7.
They're actually margins, their profit is 2.7,
Out of
2.8,
4.5
out of
gross.
4.5. Yeah.
Okay, so
So, but that's
so that's 1.7 in expenses.
a little bit more than, yes,
Okay.
but they're basically in a
Close to half.
position where they have 6 employees that's all they do.
Right.
And they're 20, it's the oil field, so they're 24/7,
They have 6 employees and they're doing how many thousand
about
gallons?
110,000 gallons.
How many were you going to do?
Well, the difference is The difference is they're 24/7
Right,
and they always have two people. So they run 3 full shifts. It's just the way they've chosen to do it.
right.
Doesn't mean that it's required, but that's the way they've chosen to do it. Plus, they don't have any gate to keep people out, so they're always going to have someone on staff.
Security.
And the other thing is they keep Cokes and snacks, and they have a lounge for the
Oh,
drivers.
those drivers want some perks, right?
They do. They
Yeah.
like the perks.
Little
So
Diet Coke, little popcorn, little tacos in the morning.
their operation is a bit different. Yours is scaled down. Yours is going to be a lot more skeletal than what they have.
Mhm.
But they're doing it because their whole model is a service model to the drivers. And so it's a little bit
Well, I thought
different.
that's the basic model is a service model to the drivers.
It's a
You
savings
want the
model.
drivers to make,
It's a savings model.
okay,
The difference is they have TV lounges and they have wireless internet and, so the drivers can go in and relax and kick back for a while, those type of things.
so if some other town develops an asset like that, well, those drivers will just go
Well,
over there.
Again, we can talk hypotheticals all day long, but
Are you going to
it's-
guarantee?
I think.
you tell me, I want to tell you this, it will make money for you. I'm not going to
Yeah.
guarantee you the revenue stream because I don't know what that looks like.
The other thing that I think is important to, we're talking about sludge cost versus revenue. But this is also not taking into account the revenue that we're going to gain from actual commercial development, actual house development, those kind of things, the rates that we're going to charge on that as well too.
Yeah, well, if we have more capacity, we can grow the city.
I mean, not just that, but I mean, Gasly, we're at a point now where Gasly's got 5 years.
Right,
And so we're trying to figure out, we have to replace it.
right.
And this is just a funding mechanism for the replacement. Long term, I don't know if sludge is going to be a factor in it, to be honest, because
Just,
that one's going to go away. We're going to have to shift it over.
just concerned about how long we can really expect this revenue stream and how reliable this revenue stream,
Absolutely.
the actual costs that we might incur. And I haven't asked about the risks.
Yeah.
What's the risks that it doesn't work the way it's supposed to work?
As far as if we don't get funding.
Oh, the sludge comes in and it's not the right sludge and, or the system that tests the sludge fails and we get some bad sludge in there. What are those risks? None, no risk?
History says there's always going to be risk
Right.
anytime you do anything.
Right.
I'm not going to speak to what those risks could be, should be, would be. Who knows?
Right.
What I can say is we're designing a system that is taking as many of those into account as possible, and we're going to do the best that we can to ensure that it's as safe as possible. That's all we can do.
So if we didn't build a processing facility as part of this whole project, the cost of Willow upgrade would be 97% of what the cost that this whole project is going to cost, right? So it would be about the same cost. Okay. All right. I'll think of some other questions. Hey, girl.
Do you intend to install a pretreatment unit
No.
for the?
What type of pretreatment would you propose?
So, I'm not proposing anything. I'm not the engineer.
Well,
Um,
you asked for a pretreatment, so what would you propose for a pretreatment? Obviously, you have something in mind.
So, no, I'm just asking because, after reading through the BEFCO study that was done, have you guys read it? Yes. So you know that BEFCO classified Smithville's waste as industrial wastewater discharge, correct?
It's domestic with industrial. It doesn't really matter what Bevco classified it as. It's domestic waste with some industrial component.
Okay. So, right, except for, so as the plant is designed right now, what is the CBOD to ammonia ratio that it will treat?
We'll get our engineers here to have that discussion with you, but that's part of the whole process. If you want that, we can get that to you.
Perfect. That would be really great because a typical MBR plant, what's a typical plant treat, that ratio?
Again, I'm not the engineer.
Okay. Do you know what a typical MBR plant will treat?
Well, let's
What's the
back
ratio?
up. So why don't you tell me what you think the typical MBR plant should treat?
Well, it's not a 0.25 to 1 ratio. I'll tell you
Okay.
that, or a 0.5 to
So what should it be?
5 to 1.
5 to 1?
Yeah.
Okay.
So is
And,
that
and
what
how do you calculate that?
you calculate that by dividing the CBOD of the influent by the ammonia of the influent.
But what's your ratio of aeration?
Say it again.
What's your ratio of aeration?
It doesn't, that doesn't.
No, it does.
matter.
It does. Ammonia is very much based on that.
Right. Okay.
So let's not try to get into.
I understand that, but whenever you do have waste that is as high of a ammonia content as the city of Smithville has, it is an important thing to consider.
It is, but you look at milligrams of ammonia and you base your aeration on milligrams per liter.
Okay.
And you also, in this case, we're going to be using a biological nutrient removal process. So there's going to be degassing, there's going to be anoxic, there's going to be aeration, there's going to be membrane, which is also aeration. All those are taken into consideration by people who are membrane experts and wastewater experts. So in all of that is being looked at. Now, can I sit here and tell you those numbers? Because I don't have those memorized. No, I can't. But I will tell you, this is a discussion that engineers who've been doing this for 40 and 50 years in membrane specifically have already looked into. And it's a ratio that has a lot to do with the aeration basin. It has a lot to do with the depth. What water depth were you, if you look at that, what water depth are you planning?
I'm not planning anything. I'm not the
Right,
engineer
right.
here. So that's why I
But
was
you're trying to get a got you question.
concerned about a $33 million project that have we done composite samples since the last time I was here?
We have done samples. No, we have done samples.
He just shook his head no.
He's with the SG. I'm with the engineers. The engineers have been working with the team.
ESG,
a lot
not
more-
the engineers?
No, they're the development group.
Okay. So the engineers, okay, so you have done influence sampling.
We have done influence sampling.
What were those numbers?
I
What did
don't
they
have
look?
those for you. Here's what I'm asking you to do. You're trying to come up with a got you question. You're trying to, no, let me finish.
You
Let
would be
me,
concerned as a citizen
let-
who pays taxes here.
Thing-
okay,
the
please
thing-
let me finish. Please let me finish.
I want to say real quick that a lot of the industrial use, from what I'm understanding, is actually not even going to this plant. It's going to be going to the other one from the where these facilities are and the piping in the ground. So there's going to be some separation of the more industrial influent will be going somewhere else for now.
But how do you know that if you haven't done a pretreatment study?
Knowing where the piping is and where these facilities are, we can't get too much into that.
Right. I know the layout of Smithville and I know what your concerns are. Your concerns are going to be the few businesses and I'm not going to call them out on public, but I understand where your concerns are. But if there has been no pretreatment study done, that is concerning. As someone who works in compliance for water and wastewater, that is concerning. That whoever is designing this project, the engineers who are supposed to be here to protect the city, have not done any type of pretreatment studies to verify if a pretreatment unit is even needed. There has been, the last time I stood up here, there had been no composite influence sampling done. You cannot get a good picture of if an MBR is going to work for our specific waste. I'm not talking about the city of Greenville. I'm not talking about anywhere like we're talking about Smithville, Texas. And if we don't have a very clear picture of where our industrial users are, we have not enforced the pretreatment ordinance as we stand here right now. So who's going to hold the burden of that when that is not considered?
So I'm going to disagree with you on several factors here. Number one, influence samples, composite influence samples vary day to day anyway. Over the course of any kind of design, you're going to take multiple samples over multiple days or over multiple months, over multiple periods. But the bottom line is you already have influent information that is available to us from years past. So there's already a historical data set that's available. The second thing is when you look at a membrane, ammonia can pass through, but ammonia itself, because you brought up ammonia, is a product of aeration. And so what I'm trying to get across is that ammonia number, we know what the influence strengths on the ammonia are coming in, and everything that's being designed is designed to those ammonia strengths coming in. So if we have all that information already, what more do you want us to do? And what type of pre-treatment would you recommend? Because with a membrane, there is no pre-treatment other than if I have, for example, if I have an industrial user that has a lot of fats, oils, and greases coming to the plant, I want to put some kind of a grease trap at that facility ahead of time to capture as much of that as possible. That's a pre-treat unit. Ammonia is not nearly as necessary to capture that. You don't need to pre-treat for ammonia. You need to know what your strength is coming in, and you need to know what your volumes are in your aeration basins. You need to know how much time that is going to spend in those aeration basins. So you have a sludge age that you're concerned about. So all of those are factors that play into it, not just a simple ratio. It's not that simple. It's a multi-factor that we have looked at.
Right. And so then you would have looked at the fact that the CBOD and the BOD levels for this town are extremely low in comparison to the ammonia numbers.
And that's okay.
You're saying that you would look at these things, but as the engineer, why haven't we looked at them?
We have.
You have. And so
We
where
have.
is that information? Has it been presented to the city?
Did I not say that I would get that information to you?
It's not up to me. It's up
Okay.
to the council. Like, where is our council to ask for that information?
I believe sometime in September, we will have everything from them that shows every bit of this. This is when we are at the 60%. Right now, we are moving forward with trying to move to that point so we know how we're going to build and what we're going to do.
So do you expect your city council to be engineers?
No,
Okay,
but
okay. Are you an engineer?
no, I am a regulatory compliance
right,
manager
right.
for
Hold on.
water and wastewater.
Sure. But the engineers are engineers for a reason. They are engineers who look at this, they design to those type of things, and it is not up to your city council to look at a sheet of paper and know what the engineers are missing. It's up to the engineers who have the stamp and the liability and the responsibility. That's why we have to carry professional liability insurances. That's why we have to carry environmental insurances, because it's our responsibility when we stamp those plans that we've looked at those, we've planned for that. It is not up to the city council to look at those plan sets and understand what those ratios are and why we haven't designed it a certain way. You're asking them to do someone else's job. That's our job.
So then
it's not theirs.
Okay, so then if in a year from now, we are looking at a situation where this plant cannot treat this, are you telling me that the engineers, your engineers, then hold the liability because a pretreatment study was not done? That was suggested by another engineer. Like this isn't me, this is BEFCO.
Bevco is not, they're not familiar with membranes. Bevco does not deal with membranes. They'll deal with conventional plants. Conventional plants are designed completely different from membranes. Completely different. 80 degrees different from conventional plants. So Bevco may have recommended it, but they're doing so because they want to design a conventional plant. A conventional plant operates differently than a membrane. The considerations are different. The aeration is different. The ratios are different. The mixed liquor is different. The sludge age is different. All of that is different. So when I say that we've been doing this specifically only with membranes since 2010, show me any membrane plants that Bevco has done since 2010, any of them. They can't. You can't.
Okay.
Because they're not, and they haven't. We have. That's what we do.
So
And yes, our insurances will cover it.
okay.
Our
perfect. That's all-
liability insurance, professional liability, our environmental policy, it covers that.
It's going to cover.
It does.
Okay, perfect.
Absolutely.
That is all that I wanted to know. That's all I wanted to hear everybody say. Because in my professional opinion, I would have at least done a pre-treatment study, but that's neither here nor there. So what rate? Oh, yeah. So you mentioned that this plant is planning on treating 500,000 gallons a day. The current permit for the plant, not the one here in town, the other one,
Willow,
Willow, it sits at
300.
that one sits at 300 and then the other one sits at 0.5 MGD, correct?
Yes.
So the plan is to switch the Willow plant up to 500, correct? 500,000.
Actually, we'll go from the 300 up to 800,000 because the plan is to put the 500,000 gallon per day plant in.
Mhm.
And then once that's operational, we'll take the 300,000 gallon per day plant that's there now, the conventional. We'll actually take it down. We'll actually retrofit it, clean it out, get it operational, and then we can turn it back on at a time when we're approaching, a time to add more process volume. Then we can basically re-energize the conventional plant.
Okay.
So we'll have 800,000 gallons a day of capacity at that location, which should serve the city for a significantly long period of time.
For clarity, that's not part of this phase one.
No, that's right.
Okay. So now Brandon, I have a question. And this is my last question and then I will be out of y'all's hair. But actually two, sorry. Brandon, you just said that the users that we're concerned about, right? That the BEFCO study was concerned about, that everyone in the room is concerned about. Well, not everyone, but those users, they are going to go to the conventional plant. So is there going to be any change in flow at the conventional plant?
So we have two facilities.
Right. No. And I know you have the one that's in town that's right across the street from the rec center. Then you have the other plant that's across town. Okay. So your industrial users, right? Those are going to stay diverted to the plant that's in town, correct? Is there going to be any additional change in flow other than, or like, is there going to be any change in flow from that plant with these force mains?
From what I understand, barring any new development, there shouldn't be any change to gasoline. We're just stabilizing it. We're making some changes to it to keep it running for hopefully, we're saying 5 years, maybe 8 if we get that word.
The project right now is not to do the force main down first. We have changed from that, keeping Gasly alive and keeping it going for 5 years. Then when it reaches its end of life, there'll probably be a new plant put where the Gasly plant is.
Okay.
And part of the reason for that is there was some critical issues that were potentially going to get us a TCEQ fine before this plant could be put in place. And so we had to act on that faster. And that's kind of the situation we were in.
Okay. Well, that's what I was going to ask. So is that plant currently in compliance? The plant that's in town that's getting the industrial waste that's not really industrial.
It is in compliance. We did get a visit recently that there are a couple things that we need to take care of and potential violations from TCEQ. So nothing is actually a violation, just potential violations at the moment. And Otis and I are taking care of those. Edward's on us every day. Hey, did you get this? Yeah, that's taken care of. What about this? We got that tomorrow. We're constantly, and there's, again, 5 of us that are taking care of this whole town. So we're doing our best.
I fully know that you guys are.
And from what I understand, over the past few years, the Gasly plant has been testing better. Is that correct?
Yeah, yes, sir, it has.
Okay.
And that's from both of us, Otis and I, and I'm there every day, constantly just working on it. I do take time off and vacation, PTO, all that good stuff. And then Otis takes over for me. And, he's taking samples for me because I've been out of town, and we get, those samples back and they're good.
Perfect.
And we have documentation to show that if you'd like.
Perfect. And I guess I was asking that because I had a similar question about the industrial diversion and stuff like that earlier today. And that was one of the things that Edward let me know is the quality of the effluent coming out of Gasly has been improving over the past few years, and we're headed in a better direction than we were at least 5 years ago.
I would just be curious to know if the quality of the effluent is changing considering your operations staff, or because the quality of the influent is changing or the composition of your influent is changing. But And then the last concern that I will bring to the minimal council, and
A
this
comment on the council thing. This isn't a posted.
no, I know the council members that are here. So my concern is the extensive record keeping requirements. Again, I do this for a living. I actually at some point worked at the same company as Paul. And the extensive record keeping requirements that are required with sludge. So there's, whenever you think about like sludge hauling records, there's 1, 2, 3, 4 carbon copies. It's a whole ordeal. And so my question to y'all is, have you considered, let's say that you're taking in 30, let's say you're taking in 60,000 gallons a day, right? At 3,000 gallons per load. That's 20 pieces of paper per day times 4 of those slips per day. Where do we intend to keep all those records so that way that they are safe and organized for the 5-year term of that? As well as, like, I would assume when I did this, I had a digital record keeping system. I still do, but when I did it here in Texas, does the city have a plan to handle that? Because it can become a lot, especially when previously, whenever I was with the company that I was with before, we hold our own sludge from one facility to another, and you're having to keep those records for a year, and then you have to compile all of that documentation, send it into the EPA, and then now their records, whoever the hauler is, records have to match your records, and it's not an easy process. So my concern is, with our current state of city manager and all of the things, that those are things that the council seriously considers whenever you're considering this sludge hauling stuff. Because it's going to be someone's job to do. So that's
We
all.
plan on adding an extra member that will probably be out there. Edward has already mentioned that he would need someone at that point in time. Once we have that, that person will be there to handle the record keeping. It should stay at the wastewater plant. There should be a place for it there. There should be an office where all that can stay for the year. And then Edward will be taking care of that, as he always does everything for Public Works.
Okay. That is all I have. And for the record, I do just want to tell you, this is genuinely not a gotcha. I am asking genuine questions about a city that I pay taxes in. And it is very offensive that you would assume that, especially considering the conversations that we've had. And I am genuinely concerned for the citizens of Smithville, because I feel like there is quite a bit of gaslighting that is occurring. And it's by the whole situation. And it's not as transparent as it's being made out to be. And that is my concern for the citizens, and I will allow you guys to have at it from here.
Can you send me more information and specifically why it's a concern for you? Just so, like the questions that you're not what you just said, but the questions that you have and why you believe it's a concern, and so that we can make sure that we're also getting the answers, because you've asked questions that I haven't received the answers to, and I want to make sure if we're getting a third party outside perspective that you are familiar with the industry, you're an expert in your field. So I want to understand like why you think it's a concern, what questions you think we should be asking, because I think that's super important for us to know.
Yeah, and could you send it to both of us, please?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, I have a couple more questions. Okay, so we got this membrane plant, then we got conventional plants. Today, about what percentage of municipalities are putting in membrane versus conventional? Approximately.
It's a guess.
Okay.
I
Well, you're
would
an
say-
expert. You should be able to.
I would say probably less than 5% are doing membranes.
Less than 5%.
Less than 5%.
Why is 95% doing conventional?
I think you have to look at who's doing the design. That's not necessarily the municipalities, it's the engineers who are doing the design.
Right.
So in the state of Texas right now, and I'm gonna kind of walk you through a series.
Right.
So bear with me on this.
Right.
So in the state of Texas, there are basically 5 universities that specialize in wastewater or environmental studies for wastewater engineering, right?
Yeah.
So you got University of Texas, Texas Tech,
A&M.
A&M, Lamar, UT Arlington. Would you believe that this calendar year,
Mhm.
not a single one of those has a single environmental engineering class or course on membranes?
Okay.
None. So students are coming out of, college with no membrane background understanding, even though it is the predominant, technology that is worldwide. Furthermore, probably 95% of your engineering firms out there have no experience in membranes. They've always done what they've always done. They continue to do what they've always done. And it's almost like, some of these others that have been mentioned here tonight. They may have 20 engineers on staff, and I'm not saying they do. I'm just saying they may have 20 engineers on staff and they've never, any of them ever done membranes. If I were to take that same statistic and I were to go to Florida, for example,
Mhm.
I would tell you that at least 50% of the treatment plants that are going in today in Florida are membranes, at least. If I go to California, I will tell you that at least 30 to 40% of the systems that are going in California are membranes. So why is Texas behind?
Not trading them.
They're not trained. And the big firms that are here, they're catching on. For example, in the last probably 6 months, I've met a total of 6 engineers that are with these big firms that are into membrane products, and they're growing. They're becoming more acceptable. They're becoming more um, it's becoming more and more the standard that some of the bigger firms are moving to, but it's like a slow train getting started uphill. It's just taking a long time because the engineering firms who are primarily responsible for those designs are just still doing conventional plants.
Conventional.
Now, I have my opinion on the why, but that's not really relevant at this point. The simple point is it's the design engineers that aren't designing membranes. It's not that the cities, don't know that it's out there. They're just being told by their engineering firms that the conventional plant is the way to go.
So about 5% in the state of Texas. are
That's my
membrane.
guess.
Your guess about
Mhm.
9. Well, it's, close enough, whether it's 85 or, 95,
Right.
whatever it is. Okay, so which cities in Texas have you guys actually designed and built a membrane plant for that is operating similar to our plant that you were proposing?
So right now, the Farmersville location has 2 plants, membrane plants up and running. City of Bastrop, we're doing a 2 MGD plant for them. We've got 5 or 6 municipalities up in the Dallas-Fort Worth that we're starting the design on those.
Okay.
But I would say from an overall perspective, we currently have 9 plants operational in the state. We have about 15 that are in the final stages of design, and we have another 15 to 30 that are just beginning the design. And about a quarter of those are going to be municipalities. The rest of them are primarily developers or utility companies.
Oh, for like a municipal
Like a-
district, something like that.
A mud district
Right.
or Aqua Texas, Corix,
Right.
Nexus, some of those type of
Right.
things.
So the 2 that are in Farmersville, you said?
Yes, sir.
2 in Farmersville, and you guys designed them, and did y'all build them? Nope, somebody else built them?
They went out for bid. They went out for, it was actually, they went out for 3 different bids before they turned to us.
Mm-hmm.
They went out for a conventional plant, came in way over budget, designed it for a smaller conventional plant, still came in over budget, and they flipped it over to us, and, we came in at budget for them.
And so how many membrane plants have you guys built in the last 12 months or 24 months?
So in the past,
19? 10 years. How about in the last 2 years?
so we we had throttled our wastewater business back a little bit due to some, what's the right way to say this, shift in focus for the company.
Mm-hmm.
We are now getting back into the wastewater industry specifically because of the Sourcewell contract and our relationship with reuse. Before it was, it's the right way to say this, conventional plants are a dogfight because everybody's doing the exact same thing with the exact same technology with no new innovation.
Right.
The reason we're in this is I only do projects that either save money or make money.
Mm-hmm.
This is one of those ones where you all have really two things. You got the first mover advantage,
Mm-hmm.
and you have the opportunity to be able to unleash a significant amount of growth by solving a very simple issue.
Mm-hmm.
And we've got the right contracting mechanism to allow everybody a seat at the table. We've got the right partner. We've got the right financial and legal partner to be able to do it. So this is where we're coming back into Texas.
SP is the financial legal partner.
Sustainability partner.
Okay. Let's see here. Oh, can we get a list of cities in the state of Texas that are operating on a similar basis, the plants and, and the sludge processing facilities that are going to be just like ours, so that we can say, hey, how's it working for you guys?
There won't be any that's just like this. Not at this point. Farmersville will be going to that.
Farmersville's closest to it?
Farmersville is the closest to it, but most of your sludge receiving facilities are the big City of Austin, which is a big conventional plant for the most part. Again, Waco, San Antonio, Dallas, they're all big conventional plants.
Kind of sounds like a red flag. I mean, if no other smaller municipalities are doing this, I mean, and the big cities are doing it, I mean, we're kind of taking a risk, right? We're going to get some OJT here.
Are there some outside of Texas?
Sludge receiving is one of those issues that have only come up in about the last 5 years for anybody outside of those big, municipalities. Nobody else was looking at it.
Right.
Just
Well,
because it
somebody
wasn't on,
has to do it. So.
well, it just wasn't on anybody's radar to go in and try to compete with those big cities.
Mm-hmm.
The great majority, even of your other municipalities, won't do it because conventional plants don't handle sludge well at all.
Mm-hmm.
Because most of your conventional plants, they're going to operate, for example, at a 3,500 to 5,000 mixed liquor. That's the concentration of solids that's inside the plant. If you're bringing in solids from someone else that's already double that, you're really taking a risk with your conventional plant by adding a whole lot more solids to it, right? So it's not well designed for a conventional type of plant. That's why only the very large municipalities have chosen to do that.
Mm-hmm.
Your developers, even your utility companies like Aqua or Corix or those type of things, they typically haul their sludge because conventional plants aren't designed to handle that.
Mm-hmm.
The membrane system is the only one that's designed to handle that because the membrane can handle mixed liquors, 12, 13, 15,000. We have plants that have operated at 20,000 mixed liquor. So the membrane plants can operate at those heavier mixed liquors. In fact, they like the food. It's better for them.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what gives the unique position of being able to pair the two together. It's just that, we've only been doing this now with the sludge receiving for about 5 years now.
Mm-hmm.
And it's very few times that municipalities want to invest into that just because they don't see, most of these are in growth mode. Like I said, with Bastrop, they're so concerned about growth and they're getting so much revenue coming in from tap fees that the revenue stream for them it doesn't matter because they're getting all their income in off of their
Sales
tap
tax
fees.
are blowing up, their property.
Yeah, and they
taxes are
have the
blowing up.
funds. They have the funds to pay for the system. So
Right.
they don't have to worry about it.
Right.
What puts Smithville in such a unique position is the fact that not only are you located in an area that has a need for it, not a great need. So let's be honest. If we're up in the Dallas-Fort Worth area where there's a lot more growth on the perimeter,
Mm-hmm.
there would be a lot more need up there than it is here. But you're in a unique position that not only do you have some of that available to you, but you're employing the technology that gives you the ability. So it's really the pairing of the two that matters, and it's the location that matters. This would not do well if we tried to go to the city of Forney and do it because Forney's too close to Greenville. We probably wouldn't be able to get those haulers to move, right? Or Terrell or Ennis or any of those others. Anything just on the south side of Dallas, probably wouldn't be able to get them to move because of that same thing. So it's kind of a combination of the location and the technology and the timing. Nobody else has really been pushing this barrier. Is there a risk? There's always going to be a risk with anything you do, but I can tell you the technology is certainly proven track record. The system is a proven track record. It's just the way that we're marrying the two in the location that we are that's really providing you the opportunity that you have.
Well, it would be good to get some references to be able
Sure.
to talk to some municipalities that have done the same thing so that we can hear how it went for them. And,
Sure.
not just something completed last year, but something completed 3 or 4 years ago where we can compare, what was the actual usage of the sludge processing facility
Mhm.
versus what they thought it was going to be at the beginning.
Mhm.
There's also,
References for that?
So I'll get you what I can.
Okay.
But it's going to be limited because again, there's just aren't any municipalities out there that have the unique combination that you guys do.
Right.
But
But there's
I can get you some sludge, I can get you some sludge receiving people who've taken sludge. They can give you their experience on why they take sludge and
Right,
what it,
right.
how
Well,
it means
would
to
this
them
just be just a
financially.
sludge processing facility, not tied to a wastewater treatment plant?
Right. So a lot of your sludge receiving facilities, if they do it, what they do is they actually take the sludge and it goes straight to the sludge press. They don't put it into the system.
Mhm.
So they're just going straight to a sludge press and, just kind of give you an idea.
Washes the water out.
It
of
just presses the water out. So, but they have, for example, like at the city of Austin, a single sludge press for them might cost them $12 million for a sludge press, right? So what they're looking at is they're trying to maximize their capacity by taking that and using that press to its fullest extent.
Yeah, yeah.
They're not trying to put it into their system per se, although some of them may do that. City of Dallas does, City of Greenville does, those type of things. But what they're all looking at is they still see it as a revenue generator. How they handle it is different from site to site to site to site. What we're proposing for you is just a system that we know the treatment plant has the capacity. We know it has the capability, and we know you have the right geographical location to basically steal some of this away from the city of Austin. And so, I can get you people who are using our membranes. They can tell you about the system.
Mhm.
I can get you
Mhm.
people who are doing sludge receiving, and they can tell you what their
Yep, the
experiences
brand.
for sludge, receiving is. But it's going to be hard for me to marry those three
So
individually
we're
to
doing
anyone.
something really unique then.
Not necessarily, it's just that your
What's been
situation
before?
is unique in the sense that you got the location, the treatment technology, and the ability to, process it. So your situation is unique. Not that the system is unique, not that the technology is unique, just
Right.
your
Well,
particular situation is unique.
Still would be good to get, some
Sure.
references.
Oh,
'cause
understood.
we'd love to hear how it works 5 years later.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right? And
Yes,
make
sir.
sure- Make sure everything that we're talking about now is what turns out 5 years from now.
Right, right.
one of the things that I've heard, and I believe it came from ESG's side, is one of the other things, because I've also been asking, why aren't we going more towards Houston, picking up Columbus and all those? And what I believe I was told by ESG is Austin has reached capacity, and they reach capacity each day. And it's not even just trying to steal people, but they don't have the capacity to take these trucks anymore.
Well, then the trucks are just having to go dump it at, where they're further and further, or they just have to put it in landfill, right?
Well, it's not a landfill, no,
Can't put this stuff in the landfill? It
not until it's processed.
liquid in it at this point in time.
Yeah, so there are businesses that actually have, yeah, sorry. There are companies, for example, there's a company called Wastewater Transport Services. That's primarily all they do is they haul liquid sludge, right? But they have a facility or they have land that they have gotten approved by the EPA to basically take and spread the liquid
Right, yeah.
sludge across their land. And there's probably 5 or 6 different large landowners within about 100 miles that will allow that, but they're again limited to capacity. So what's happening is as the state of Texas is growing and we're getting larger and larger populations, those resources, the ability and everybody needs wastewater, right? So I mean, City of Smithville is adding capacity, Bastrop is adding capacity, everybody's adding capacity. Well, now they're running out of places to take the sludge.
Right.
So this is, again, it's kind of in a situation where the
timing
growth
is
in
good.
Texas, the timing, it kind of lends itself to it. But my only choice, if I'm anybody else, my only choice when I haul that liquid sludge is to take it to a receiving station like Smithville could be, or to find a land applicator who can, land apply it. But again, now I'm having to drive 100 miles to get to a land application site. So I'm not trying to beat a dead horse here. It's unique. I understand it, but you're in a prime position in a prime location at a prime time where you could take advantage of it.
And when, again, remind me, if I didn't ask before, when's the last membrane plant you guys built?
We have,
Not you.
oh, I'm sorry.
Them.
Acting as the developer,
Yeah.
that was 5 years ago.
So you're a developer and you're putting it all together.
We
right?
put everything.
You're hiring all the subs, put
Hiring
the
all-
whole plant together, buying all the equipment. Reeves is some supplier, I heard. No, Reeves? No. Huh?
Just the engineer.
Yeah,
Okay. okay.
Reuse.
Yeah, reuse. So I thought there was another entity that was a equipment company.
A3.
A3, right. So 5 years ago is when y'all built the last membrane plant.
Correct.
And the bid that you guys have put to the city, that's a turnkey bid?
That's
Is that the
turnkey
way
bid.
I would call that?
Let me be real specific here. So in September, we will hit the 60% design standard. Once that happens, our contract will then switch over to a guaranteed max price for this project.
Right.
That's going to be presented in public. We're going to
Right,
do this
right.
exact same thing. The reason we're actually even doing this tonight is to make sure the public is continually
Yeah,
informed
yeah,
on this
yeah.
and to be able to ask questions. When we come back in October, we're going to review kind of internally with all the kind of key stakeholders in September,
Right.
presented to the council and general public in the beginning of October.
Uh-huh.
And we're going to go through everything because that is when our contract allows us to be able to order all the long lead time equipment. So you all aren't waiting another 6 to 9 more months while we finish up the rest of the
Right,
design.
right.
And you're bringing up honestly, you're bringing up a lot of really, really good points. Randall is talking about, you're looking at 2 proven technologies that are being married together
Mm-hmm.
that we don't have to do. This could be just
Conventional plant,
this could be a conventional plant, which
cookie cutter, right?
exactly. Well, you're a fisherman, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so what's the difference between a $2,000 fly rod and a Takara rod? They both catch fish.
They both catch fish.
Which one's going to save you money? Which one's going to allow you to pay for the trip?
Right.
It's a statement of economics where if you all were going to do a conventional plant or even a membrane plant,
Mhm.
that costs the city, which means that costs the ratepayers, which means
Right.
they have to raise rates. This is taking something that has been essentially de-risked to be able to say, hey, look, this is a revenue source that comes in that nobody is currently serving, to be able to pay for this plant, to be able to do exactly what it has because you all have the excess capacity, which benefits every one of the taxpayers and ratepayers within the city, because now your rates don't go up, your taxes don't go up, and the city is not cash strapped because you can build 126 more houses at the moment, and that's it. This is going to free up another 2,000, which helps everybody that lives here.
Oh, no, no, no.
Well, we can't.
There's a lot of people that live here that don't want another 2,000 houses.
So that
hanging out.
that's
and
a
they do
phil-
not
that's a
want
philosophical
traffic,
debate.
Police requirements of 2,000 more houses.
So that's
Plenty of citizens
the-
that don't want that.
the nice part is that's kind of a high class problem. You have the option to be able to do it,
Right.
but
And-
now the city of Austin, city of Bastrop, all of those entities have to take out money to be able to pay for it and continually service the debt through public funds.
Yeah.
This right here, and you all are just kind of a diamond in the rough, honestly, because of location, proximity to the large city, that many sludge haulers around, and the need and the ability to service what needs to go on, to allow you all to be able to grow without having to penalize for growth.
So the risks are that we, get some competition in the sludge
Yeah.
processing business
Yep.
and all of a sudden the $3 million goes down to whatever. Plus there's the fact that the $3 million is going to have some expenses associated with it. It sounded like Midland's making 4.7 gross, but only 2.7 net. So that $3 million is not going to be a total $3 million. There's going to be some expenses associated with that. So when are the LOIs going to turn into contracts?
We're going to, as soon as we start delivering that, the final design, know exactly what's going to go on, we're going to formalize those LOIs.
Because, we obviously wouldn't want to spend any money on this
And you
until
don't.
we've got the LOIs turned into real live contracts.
Mhm.
And we need to know what the terms of those contracts are, both price and term, period of time.
Yep.
Because we're depending upon those contracts to make us the revenue that's going to get a net income that's going to supposedly help us pay off our debt and not increase taxes, which Brandon is going to guarantee. And Jimmy. is gonna guarantee.
We are in bi-weekly meetings.
You're welcome.
We have with ESG and reuse. We have Zoom meetings bi-weekly, talking to them about the process, where they're going with the whatever the contracts for the sludge haulers, all of the things like that, we're meeting with them. They are very open and very transparent with this council about how we're moving forward.
Well, wait a minute, open and transparent. You guys aren't owned by Oak Tree anymore.
No, we still are.
No, you're owned by Duration Capital. That's what it says on their website,
Who's?
Duration Capital's website.
Last time I talked to the owners last week.
It's what I saw online. I'll have to go back and check again.
Let's take a look at that. So Oak Tree, sorry, I'm going to say this. The way they are doing this is continual sustained growth and investment in the company. There would have been at least an internal press release had we been sold.
Yeah, well, from what I could tell, Oak Tree spun out all your business and other businesses into this entity called Duration Capital. And apparently that happened in 2024. And Oak Tree invested in you guys in May of 2023.
Mm-hmm.
So how long does Oak Tree hold on to companies before they sell them?
So that's the interesting part. Most of the private equity, and I've got a lot of friends on the private equity side, they usually look for a 3-year turn.
3 to 5.
3 to 5.
Okay.
Yep. It depends on the scale, how fast they can accelerate.
And so Oak Tree's owned you since May of 2023.
Mhm.
So 3 years from then would be 2026. 5 years would be 2028, which means we could be in this process and you guys could get sold.
And that actually wouldn't make a difference to what we're actually doing.
Possibly, yeah.
No, because our entity has been awarded that single source contract.
Right.
We still have all the partners. We are still
right.
doing the exact same service. Even if our company changed names to something weird, like every other company
Right.
likes to do,
Right.
we're still providing the same level of service. We still have the project development agreement in place with the city.
Right.
You still get the same people unless they decide to make a change.
Well, maybe not.
Maybe
I
not.
mean, if something happens, then the people might leave. I mean, you
That's
know.
very possible.
Right.
But that's anywhere. But
Well-
it leaves you all in the exact same spot where
There's a major change in ownership. People usually leave.
depends.
Well, I know because I'm in the recruiting business and I work for
So you get
private equity firms. So
so
I understand how that game works.
and you see it. So you see the retention of the good people, the people that produce, and
No,
then you
the
see the
good
bench
people leave.
riders.
After they get their money, they leave.
That's a different. Okay, so
That's
all
the
right,
senior people.
we can debate equity structures.
Um,
Equity. Okay, yeah. So you got equity, huh?
I don't have equity.
Oh, you don't?
No.
Oh, wow.
Which is
I think for what I'm seeing online, I admittedly just looked on,
Did you look up Duration Capital?
as far as ESG is concerned, there's no comments about any movement away from Oak Tree. There's comments from Duration, but I'm not seeing anything.
They're not in
substantiated.
Duration's portfolio page.
I'm not seeing anything to substantiate that ESG has made a statement. They still are.
Well, no. Yeah, this is a different deal. I'll have to look it up.
Yeah.
I apologize if I was wrong on
no,
that.
you're good.
But I looked it up and that's what I thought I found.
But honestly, it's the same thing. Even if you see every one of the faces, which hopefully the faces don't change,
Yeah,
this is still the mechanism. You all are still being able to march forward.
right.
The plan is set, and the best part about this is we're not doing this in the dark. Had the council, if we had just been sitting
Yeah.
back, kind of advising, and nobody knew where we stood, which is usually the way it goes because it's design, bid, build. So you get an engineering firm that designs the Taj Mahal,
Yeah,
and then all of a sudden they get surprised with whatever it is, and then the change orders come.
right.
Everybody, and that's the best part. Anybody within the team can explain exactly what's going on all the way through.
Well, if you turnkey bid, there's no
Got it.
change orders.
That's exactly right. And unless we get
So there could be change orders, but Doug City doesn't have to pay for the change.
or it's at the city's discretion if they want to add on scope. We've got so many different levers to be able to pull,
Okay.
but that's if they want to add on scope that wasn't in the original. They say, okay,
Right,
hey, by
right.
the way, we want to add another lift station out here because we have new development. Great, here,
Right.
let's add it to the
Or when
existing
you dig
contract.
something up, you find you have.
Different
to-
story. That's a different story, and that's
Okay.
been one of the things that we've been talking about.
Right,
How do we limit risk?
right,
How do we assess what's in essentially historic shape?
right.
And everybody comes to an agreement and says, this is the risk that everybody's comfortable with to be able to do this.
Right.
The nice part is we have skin in the game.
Right.
We have the ability to be able to do it. And we've got the right
You got
partners.
skin in the game?
That's when we take on risk like that for doing a guaranteed max price contract, we absolutely do.
Oh, well, okay.
Yeah.
Guaranteed max price.
Guaranteed
contract.
max price contract.
Okay. all
Yep.
right. And that could be different than the numbers that we've seen
Yeah.
already from the city.
Well, it is because we've changed scope. We've actually been able to decrease the total project amount and
Okay.
still keep the same benefit.
Okay.
Because it's the dynamic conversations usually. If this was a standard RFP process, lawyers would be sitting here because we're negotiating change orders and we're going to have to come into some sort of terms through arbitration, whatever the case is.
Mhm.
We made a group decision, council, us, engineers, everything else. To say Edward's team is, absolutely Edward's team.
It's all Edward's fault.
Does this, yeah, it keeps going. We made a group decision, which usually isn't done in this kind of construction field, to say, hey, we want to be able to pivot because we can prior to this going out, because it makes more sense for the city. There were risks that were identified that were originally not as risky as we thought, that then became riskier.
Mm-hmm.
And we talked about it, we figured it out, and this is how we've developed that from the beginning to say, here's how we want to go, and we can pivot along the way to make sure it meets the needs of the city.
And we have actually made a pretty significant change in preference as of a few weeks ago.
And
Very
what's the
significant.
warranty on this? Besides the equipment warranty, is there a warranty for, completed project?
So I'm going to say yes, because the city has not decided on the financial structure it wants to use.
Mm-hmm.
If we go through the sustainability partner piece, for as long as they maintain that contract, every piece of equipment that breaks, is faulty, needs to be replaced, is replaced within
Oh,
the contract.
wait a minute. Am I getting the impression that Sustainability Partners is going to own the equipment?
They are going to finance the equipment
Okay.
and nominally take title,
Uh-huh.
because you do not want to have your debt structure and your debt rating.
Uh-huh.
Good Lord, it's been one of those days. They do not want to have your bond rating
They
depressed.
basically have title until we pay them off.
With what's called a special purpose entity, or an SPE,
Right.
which is joint sustainability partners and the city.
Right.
So governance and operations are all gone through the proper operating agreement.
Do you know that Sustainability Partners is getting sued by the state of Louisiana?
Everybody gets sued. Yes.
No, they don't all get sued, but did you know that they're being sued by the state of Louisiana for pulling the wool over the eyes of some of their customers? That's what they're being charged with. Of
course.
Right. And of course, Sustainability Partner says, oh, we're doing everything what we're supposed to do, because that's what they have to say too.
Mhm.
But the state of Louisiana is suing them right now.
And I believe the state of Louisiana is also suing currently 5 other large contractors. This is the same thing where we're going to sit down. Sustainability Partners is what we brought to the table
Mhm.
as the financial and legal partner.
Right.
They may or may not be the right fit. That is up to the council and you all to be able to decide.
Right.
The
I'll
other
also
piece
say that I know Jimmy and I and some other members of the council have also talked to Samco. And for instance, the meters, we did not know that Samco did not know about the meters. So we're making sure that our financial advisor is aware of every component of this contract. To be frank, he has some interest in not going with sustainability partners, so he's going to be naturally skeptical of going with them. But I think it's going to provide another professional outside opinion as well too.
And this is who or what?
Samco, it's our financial advisor for the city.
And Samco is, well, I'll look.
They do, they are our bond and, they have the bond for us. They do our C of Os, they do our tax notes, they do
Okay,
things like
okay.
that. They have their bond
So
attorney.
they underwrite the
Yeah.
bonds and everything.
They do. And they have brought a lot to the table. They're gonna help us make sure that our lawyers and we understand every bit of every contract we sign.
Okay. Oh, thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for the questions.
I'm glad we heard that last part.
All right. I know, you're up. Short time because you got it to last.
That's all right.
Doug will have some more questions. It's okay.
No questions. How much money have we spent so far with this group?
We're obligated to 2 million when the 60% comes through, but as of now, we haven't spent anything.
Obligated. Any of you guys live anywhere around here? Where do you?
Georgetown.
Georgetown, that's too bad.
I ain't got a gotcha question. That wasn't it. I'm just gonna kind of tell you, I ain't really in favor of this at all. And $33 million is a lot of money and there's too many unanswered questions. There seems to be a whole lot of unanswered questions and everything that goes on in this government these days. I mean, they told us flock cameras are going to be the best thing since dried milk. You know, maybe we're gonna catch all those criminals and now they're throwing them out. You should have been at the meeting when the data centers came down and gave us their proposal. Oh, good Lord. You know, there's a whole lot more information I think we need on this here subject. And I don't know how you guys are planning on going with talking about a $4 million COO, certificate of obligation. Is that what we're planning on doing here?
I think we just found out information an hour ago.
You're gonna be doing
that
$4
number.
million certificate of obligation?
We can go up to the 4 million, but we may not go up to the 4 million because we have now got new information that we will share as soon as we decide who we're going to go with.
Well, I think before we do any more certificates of obligation, I think we want to put it to a vote of the citizens to see what they want to do. It may not be necessarily possible for us to do everything we want to do, but we're going to need to start, you know, tightening down our budgets a little bit here. $33 million just kind of scares the crap out of me. Is that inappropriate for this conversation? And it takes 5% of the registered voters in Smithville to force an election. I want you guys to seriously think about passing this obligation on to the citizens to see what they want to do and hold off on doing a whole lot more other stuff until we actually get all the information we need to know. I don't want to see, even though it's maybe well intended, I don't want to see this several years down the road turning into another data center, especially if technology changes and it goes some other way. So that's all I got to say, guys. Appreciate it.
And I think some of the difficult positions the city is in, and some of this is information that came about right before I was on council, but essentially we're running into a capacity issue. We're going to be tripping some levers soon if we hit certain levels of capacity that are going to force us to have to build another wastewater treatment plant. From what I remember, we were kind of trying to remember what the number was from BEFCO, but I think we both remember it being about $60 million was the original quote, like kind of rough back of the napkin math that we were told, you need a wastewater treatment plant, you need it within a certain amount of time. Conventional is going to cost you $60 million. Your team came in, originally hit us with $45 million, and that was to do both of the plants. We've kind of said, hey, we can't do that. And so now we're sitting at about 33 is kind of the rough number. It's going to be even lower than that. So it's a lot of money for sure, but we're at a point where we're legally going to be required to move forward before long.
TCEQ at 90% says break ground on a wastewater plant within, I think it's a 90-day period. So TCEQ decides. Now, we have 100 and whatever it is, 122, 118 that we say are left. That's what's not promised. I mean, those are the ones that are not promised to somebody. In truth, we're probably at about 65 to 70%. That's what has been promised to people, lands, neighborhoods, and things like that. So we're not at our max yet, but we could be at our max anytime if somebody starts building where they said they were going to be building. So we want to get this ready and get on the ground. As I say, TCEQ is the one that dictates when we're going to have to build. So I'd rather not have them come in here and say, start now. I'd rather be ahead of the curve.
We also had another request that came in the past year that is 300 on its own, and we had to turn it away.
Well, maybe that wasn't all. Man, I hate to get told what to do. And man, I hate to get told what to do by people who don't know necessarily what the hell they're doing. And you give me the names of the people over at TCEQ, and we'll sit down and have a little party with them guys and find out if all the laws they say are, we absolutely have to do, that we have to do. Because I think we're just, they're just blowing smoke at us. Y'all may be scared of them. I ain't. But this town is important, and we're driving ourselves into debt.
Can we give you a list of some questions that we like answer from TCEQ?
You give them to me, I'll get them.
Mm-hmm.
I was wrong about Duration Capital. That was another group of companies that Oak Tree spun off.
I think we're past.
Put that on the record.
Yes, we're past 8 o'clock, folks. We need to kind of shut this down. We appreciate everyone coming, everyone being here. And I thank you for all your questions. Some of them were a little bit engaged, but I think that it was good discussion, and looking forward to talking to y'all Thursday. I don't know. Everybody's on Zoom Thursday.
We have another 2 meetings, one tomorrow, one Thursday.